They are very popular and a great way to let your audience know what you have available and what you can do for them. I love attending webinars. I love the wisdom that's shared on them. I love what I learn. I'm a fan. And our next guest speaker specializes in how to help you set up webinars.
Building spirituality, family, health, and business. This is the Giant Builders with Lois Wyant.
Hi, Giant Builders. Hey, we're back, and I have Ritu. And Ritu and I have been Facebook friends for a little while. And I have personally been interested in having this conversation with you because my coach has said that I should start doing some webinars. And that is one of your specialties. So I'm hoping you'll give us some great tips. Welcome.
Yeah, Namaste, Luis. Thanks for having me. And we have been trying to connect for like 3 to 4 months, and
Yes.
finally we are here.
Here we are. Tell me, what's the importance of webinars these days?
Luis, right now I can say means with webinars you can sell literally anything if you don't have any kind of lead magnet, whether it's ebook, PDF, checklist. Means people tap into different kind of lead magnet if they are not getting the idea that what kind of lead magnet should I put in, then webinar is one of the best lead magnet to go with, because with webinar you can sell literally anything, you name it, whether it's product, whether it's program, whether it's digital or physical product, whether it's membership, whether it's affiliate product, does not matter. And it can be of any business niche. That is very important. So that's the power of webinar, and it is basically for selling your high ticket product or programs. So this is where you have a great, means I can say, area to tap in, so you cannot ignore this part.
So what's a good time span for a webinar? What would you suggest? How long should it be?
It should be like 30 to 45 minutes, that converts best. But I would recommend, because with different audience it would like think in different time. So there's no literally that the best part where people can go with is 30 to 90 minutes. That is the max time they can take, not more than that.
Okay, so what's the hardest part? The things setting up before the webinar, or the follow-up of the webinar? What's the hardest?
Well, there are different problems people face during the webinar. So first thing is audience. So in webinar, you'd be inviting two kinds of audience. First, who knows you, and second, who does not know you. So the second audience would be someone who you want to educate them before the webinar, so that your both audience should be on the same line, and they would know you better, that who you are, what you do, and why they should join your webinar, because they also want to go from point A to point B. And after the invitation it comes to the registration part. So once you can use registration landing pages or like Facebook Messenger. So the reason where people struggle most, and it's the universal problem, Luis, let me address this, that people register for the webinar but they don't show up. The show up rate is very low. So it's the universal problem. I've been on a call with one of a UK prospect, and his program cost was like £6,000, and he told me, Ritu, no one booked the call in the end. I got 95 registrations, 27 people showed up, 27 people stayed till the end, but in the end no one booked the call. So I tapped into his problem and find out, first the problem was in the reminder sequence, because that is where the next part comes in after, because people are not getting show up because they have not put up the reminder sequence in a proper manner, and they must have scheduled anything else in between, because it's a busy world. People get distracted from all this shiny object syndrome. And I told him that reminder part is the first problem. That is why your number decreased from 95 to 27. And he was like, yeah, I get this part. And after that, the problem was with the CTA. He was not able to get the end. In the end, he was not able to provide the better CTS so that people can book a call with him. And the next problem people face is like they are not able to follow up. And believe me, 80% conversions comes from follow up. You need to retarget your audience at least 7 times to get the sale. And this is the gold part, Luis. So these are the main struggles people are facing, and this is what I want to address with the help of your podcast, so that people can actually get it right. Yes, this is what it really making sense. So is this really you wanted to? Is this something really that's making sense, Luis?
Yes, it is. It is. You said it, any product could be a webinar. Is there like, so should it be a webinar? Do you prefer evergreen webinars or set time webinars? What do you think is
Okay.
better?
Live webinar or evergreen webinar?
Yes.
So basically, if someone is like, if someone wants to start, then of course I would recommend that they should start one on one first. And after that, once they are comfortable, they can go on to the webinar part. And they should start with live webinar. That is very important, because during the live webinar, once you share your offer, you just go ahead and answer their questions, their objections. And once you know that these are the common objections I'm getting right now after conducting the same webinar like 5 to 6 times, then you can go ahead with the evergreen webinar. Now you can put the recording, and after sharing your offer in the evergreen webinar, you can share that now I want to answer some questions, and you go da 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 da, and you answer all those objections, and you give the deadline to them. Okay, now you can go ahead and tap into my world.
Oh, I love that idea as far as like finding out what the objections are and then changing that and making it even so much better.
Yeah.
That's a great suggestion. I like that.
And other than that, that I also want to add something, means if
Okay.
if yeah, because live webinar is something you need to start with. That is very important, because this will give you an experience of what people are actually trying to get with you, and what they are actually trying. Is your messaging right or not? Is your headline of the title, is your title right or not? So when you do live webinar, you get the whole idea, and at the end you get your messaging correct. You get your presentation perfect. You get your objections right at the, like, it connects with your audience. It connects with your audience problem, and this part is very important. So you can go ahead, and your audience can go in and tap into this thing, so that they can run a profitable and successful webinar. Because before starting or running a webinar, the end goal should be clear, that what is it that you want to achieve with webinar.
So when someone meets with you to talk about how to put this together, what are some of the questions that you need to get from them?
Well, I would like to know more about whether or not they have been running webinars or not, whether or not, if they have run the webinar, then what were the numbers? Because I have been on calls with many people, but people are not even aware of the number.
Mhm.
They measure the conversion of their webinar by the people who have attended the webinar. By And my thing is, I measure the conversion by people who have stayed till the end of the webinar. That is very important, because if people are not seeing your offer, then there is no point of conducting your webinar. So I would love to hear what are the average percentage they have got till now, and what they want to achieve, so that they can, because at the end they want to run a successful and powerful webinar. That is what the end goal is, right, Luis?
Right. Well, we want to see the money at the end, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically, because in I have seen that this is the most common problem in
Uh-huh.
the webinar. People teaches about, they give lots of information, but believe me, all those informations and all those features and benefits, that never going to drive conversion. that never going to drive result. In the end, it's about the effort and the problem and the solution of the problem that you want to talk about. That is what going to drive the result in the end. So instead of giving so much information in the front end, give them an implementable solution so that they can implement, and in a quick time they can get the result, and they would be like, okay, now I want to go in and just wanna go from point A to point B. They would be like, wow, this is what I was looking for, and this is what I've got at the end of this webinar, and boom.
So which part of it should you start with in the planning? So like I have not done a webinar. So I'm going to call you and I'm going to say, okay, I want to do a webinar. Where do I start? Do I start with the webinar content or do I start with the end or the beginning? Where do I actually start?
If you have not done your webinar till now, then I would suggest that you should start with one-on-one.
Okay.
And yeah, once you have got some people who have been on one-on-one with you, you have got the result, you have got the testimonials from them, and in the meanwhile you also build a list. Then of course after that you can invite your audience to your webinar, because at that time you would be also feeling more confident, because you have the result, you have the testimonial, and you're feeling confident about having this group of people in tapping into your coaching business. So this is what I would like to suggest, because webinar for live webinar you should have a high ticket program or product. Okay, but if you want to after once you have done the live webinar and you want to tap into the evergreen webinar, you can have this $500 or $1,000 product, and you can sell in automation. That is what the goal is, because with evergreen webinar what you are doing is you have a passion and you place the system in, that is the evergreen webinar and all the processes and automation, and in the end you get the cash flow. So you are going from passion to profit without bothering about this bridge. So this is what I wanted to share, Luis.
Oh, that's a great vision. And I agree, email is important. Matter of fact, we just posted an email tip podcast on October 4th. So if you haven't seen that yet, Giant Builders, please go back and look at that. So that will be good information too. Any closing thoughts?
Yes, sorry, I just wanted to add that as a closing thought, I can say if people want to run a profitable and successful webinar, then they need to build, because webinars is in this online world, in this busy world, you need to focus on building trust, authority, and relationship. So don't try to hard sell thing, even with your webinars or one-on-one. Just go ahead and actually help them. That is what people are looking for. If you can actually show them what the transformation you can bring in their life, then they would definitely be tapping into your world, and they would not hesitate to invest in you. Yeah.
Good point. That's great.
Yeah,
All
thank
right.
you
Well,
so much,
we'll
Louise.
have all your contact information below. Giant Builders, if you're ready to take your business to the next level, webinars really work, and Ritu is the person that you should talk to.
Yeah, thank you so much, Luis. And
Thank
as
you.
a token of appreciation, I would also like to give some bonuses to your audience. And I would like
Okay.
to share, yeah, I would like to share one of my system where I have shared how 7 ultimate hacks to reduce your webinar loss. So I will share it with you so that your audience can actually tap into that and take a look at what it is actually and how they can reduce their webinar loss.
Great.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. That link will be below also, Giant Builders. All right. Well, thank you, Ritu. It was wonderful to have you. You are a man of great wisdom. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Louis. Thanks for having me. It was great having a talk with you, and looking forward to do some more amazing stuff with you. Thank you
Well,
so much,
thank
Louis.
you. All
Thank
right.
you so much.
All right, Giant Builders. We'll see you next.
Thank you for listening. This has been The Giant Builders with Lois Wyant.